Hello class. So today we're going to do a short exercise in using Excel to sort data. And I am using Excel version 2010 in Microsoft Office 2010. And I'm using a PC. For those of you who have Macs, the process is different. So you will need to find someone who is a friendly Mac user to help you with Excel for Macs. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the data that I have here. I have an example set of data, and this is a sample of data that is typical of the kind of data that you may find yourself using in upcoming modules in the class, especially when we get to the biology of you. And so what you see here is we have kind of a mishmash of a whole bunch of different types of data. We have text data in the form of subjects, of male and female subjects. And then we have data in length data, we have time data, we have percentage data. We have a lot of different data that we want to look at. And the first thing we need to do is make some rhyme or reason out of it. And so we're going to use a sort feature for that. And so if you come up here to your top menu bar, you'll notice that we have tabs like Home that takes us to different menu options. And the one that we're going to use is Data. We're going to go back and forth between the Home tab and the Data tab. So within the Data tab, if we come over and we have these different blocks, we have Get External Data, Connections, Sort and Filters, Data Tools, Outline Groups. There's lots of things we can do within the Data tab. But we're going to today stick on the Sort and Filter box, and we are going to sort data. So the first thing we need to do is select the data that we want to sort. And I think it would be helpful if we're looking at gender, if we sort the male and female group of data. So I'm going to select that data column, and then I'm going to come up here to the sort feature. Now when I click on that, it opens up a little sort warning dialog box, and it gives me a couple of options. One is expand the selection, because Excel realizes that I have a lot of different data in this table and I've only selected a small grouping of it, or continue with the current selection. So these are my options. But I'll tell you what, let's follow some of this data through time. So let's select this male subject here, and let's go to the Home tab and let's bold that, and let's follow this through time. And also let's select a female subject. Let's select this female subject, and we're gonna follow her through time as well. Oops, it didn't bold my male data. Let's come back here and bold that. Okay, so now let's go back to our data tab, and let's select our genders and go back up to our sort option, and let's say just continue with the current selection. So it's only going to look at just this column of data, and let's tell it sort. And we're going to say OK. So now let's notice what happened here. So now it's grouped all of my females together and all of my males together. So that's going to be real handy for looking at these different outcomes of these different tests that we did, performance tests based on gender. Now we have all the females and all the males together. But what didn't it do? If you notice, well, here it moved my male subject, but it left all his data down here. So now all the data that goes with this subject is in the wrong location. And for the female, it looks like it just left her where she was. So that one worked out okay. But this did not work out okay. So let's undo that. And now it put everything back where it was. Now let's come back over here and let's do the sort option. But this time let's pick expand the selection. And now let's tell it to sort. And we're sorting by gender. And so let's tell it sort. And now look what it's done for us. It clumped all the females together, and it clumped all of the males together, and it took the appropriate data with the appropriate subject. So that's good. That's a good start. But now this is all kind of a mess in each of these columns, isn't it? So let's choose this first column of data here, and let's tell it to sort it. And we're going to choose the expand selection because we want all of the data to stay with the appropriate subject, and let's tell it to sort. But now we're sorting by two features. We're sorting by gender, but we also want to sort this density of touch column. So let's add a level, and first we want to sort by gender, and then we want to sort by density of touch receptors for the upper limbs. And we're going to do values, but we're not going to do A to Z here. So we need to come over here and make a custom list. And this is just standard that pops up in here, but we want a new list. We want to make a new list. And we're going to do smallest to largest. Let's make this list and let's add that. And then we tell it okay. And now we see that we're sorting gender by the alphabet, and we're sorting density of touch receptors by smallest to largest. And let's tell that okay. And so now let's see what it's done. Well, it kept our data all where it belongs. So we see that we still have all of our highlighted data with the appropriate subjects. But what's happened over here? So it did smallest to largest for 2. And then it did a new list, smallest to largest for 5 subjects. And over here it did smallest to largest for these 4. And then over here it did smallest to largest for these 8. So this is actually 4 separate lists in one, and that's no good. And so one of the reasons that it did that is because this data is not represented in the same format in these columns. And this is something that you often run into when you're collecting data, is that if different researchers are entering their data into a common database, and that's what we have going on here, you'll notice that some people just put in the numbers, and some people put in the numbers along with the measuring criteria, and this is centimeters. So it's a length measurement. And if you notice up here in our headers, well, we're already being told that the density of touch receptors in the upper limb is being measured in average centimeters. So each one of these is an average of a group of subjects, female subjects. So this female subject may have done this measurement 4 or 5 times, and this was the resultant average, 0.8 centimeters. So we don't need all these CMs behind all of this data. So let's try something. Let's come in here and let's remove all of these. And yes, this is going to take me a little bit of time, but when I get all of my data into the same format, then we're going to save time when we're able to use the sort feature. So we're just going to go ahead and just keep removing all of these. And then you'll notice that also in the other columns that I have the same kind of thing going on, where I'm already told what the measurement is in for some of them, and for some of them I'm not. So I may want to edit my headers, or I may want to edit my data, but regardless of which one I edit, they all need to be the same. So we're just going to take out these last couple here. Okay, so there we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab this data again. Okay, we're going to grab this data again. We're going to come back up to our sort feature, and we're going to have it, yes, expand the selection and sort. And we're sorting gender, this column, and we're sorting density of touch, this column. And let's tell it okay. And voila! Now I have female subjects sorted from smallest to largest, and I have male subjects sorted from smallest to largest. And one of the most important things to recognize here, let's put this in the middle so that it's easier to discern from the other columns. There we go. And then one of the nice things about this is that now I can look at all of the females and I can see what the variation or the spread is between all of my female subjects. And what we'll notice is that the average length for one subject was quite small, while the average length for another was quite large. And we would use this data then perhaps to make a graph and maybe put it in the context of a bell curve and see what the average was. Now we can also have Excel do this for us, and we could come down here and we'll take the male data because it's all handy right here, and so we're just going to use that data, and we would come to formulas, and then under formulas we could go to or actually, well, yeah, so look, we're going to highlight, we're going to put this cell here and we're going to hit auto sum, and we're going to do an average, but we only want to do the average of the male subjects. So we're just going to select those columns for right now, and then we're going to hit the enter, and this then is giving us the average density of touch receptors in the upper limb in centimeters for males. Our average is 1.768. So we might want to somehow mark that as the male average. Then we could also do the same thing for the females, and we can put that here. We can come up here and go to auto sum, hit average, and then we're only going to select this data, and we'll hit enter. So there we go. And so that would be the female average. So we would need to mark these columns somehow so that we know what's what. So now we've only done just a little bit of simple manipulation on the average centimeters for the upper limb. So then we would also then maybe want to go over here and do some of the other columns. So how about the waist to hip ratio? So let's do this one. Let's select this data, and let's go back to our sort feature. And yes, we want to expand. But now we're just looking at that data. So we need to add another level. And this time we're going to be sorting by, let's do waist to hip ratio, smallest to largest, and then density of touch. So now we're looking at 3 of our different parameters. So it can only keep one row or column of data at a time from smallest to largest. So first we're looking at this row now. Okay, then we're looking at this row. All right, all based on gender. So now we have this smallest to largest, and then we have the males are smallest to largest. And there's something that we notice here. Let's take a look at this 31. This is what we would call a major outlier. So one of two things has probably happened here. Either the data was inappropriately entered, or they forgot to put a decimal place somewhere. And if that's the case, we really don't know how to fix it. So we would just delete it, and we would not use that one particular data point when we were setting up our averages. All right, well, I hope that this lesson in sorting has been helpful for you. And if you have any questions, please make sure you ask your lab instructors or your lecture instructors. Thank you.